Honestly, I would have paid 10, 20 grand for this website myself. Not for me, for this result. All right, so here's how I started. This was the first time in a very long time that we have a completely new product brought to the market with the Atarim V5. We have a rebrand. The whole thing is an opportunity to rethink everything that maybe we just gotten complacent with. So we revisited everything. We boiled it down to like a full-on document. And this started with just thinking about what are we trying to convey? What is the style that we're trying to bring in? What is the vibe and the message that we want to make sure that our audience actually resonate with. So that started with the understanding that trust is probably at the forefront of everything that we're trying to do with the AI web agency. And that kind of led us to this concept of maybe being softer with the way the website is presented. If it looks corporate or too sassy, then maybe that will make the visitor to the website feel like there's no actual warmth or humanity that sits behind this. And so even though this build is massively supported by AI, it still needed to present this warmth and the human touch that makes our craft unique. Not just us, but the entire industry, the people that we're serving. From this website, we went into an exploration within Claude Design to rethink the brand kit completely. And so that went through quite a few iterations, but this is a highly detailed document that then powered a lot of the other elements around this. This includes redoing the logo, again, together with the AI, but with the direction of my want and needs and understanding of the audience after serving for 7 years. But you can see that there's like a general feel here that doesn't exist on the current website. And we kind of landed up on this website here, Firefox. Firefox are kind of non-threatening, I would say, like if you're looking at the Chrome website, it looks a lot more like our current website or the website we had before this, that was very much like sassy and tech, and it feels bigger than who we really are. We're a small team, and so we wanted to kind of project that it's not about like being a click up, or it's about serving the people that we've been serving for the past 7 years. And we felt that this color scheme and this kind of feeling that exists here leans in a lot more to that humanity, that little quirky type of touch. Now, this connected very well even with the current inner circle characters, the experts that we've already introduced when we brought in the AI last year. And these guys are cute, they're friendly, they're here to support. So you can see inspirations from here, not only with the color scheme that we've already played with before. This is a purple that we've had our homepage painted on before. And with the Web Agency Summit, our yearly event, that's pretty much the color we had on our landing page this past year. So we were already leaning into this. And then the characters, we already had them. I really liked those like big, chunky, beautiful, high attention to detail type of icons that they were using here. And everything just felt a little soft, which I really liked. And so you can see how this is applied now to our side, and we made it kind of reveal the experts as you scroll. The way that I did the initial research was actually going into Atarim and then running a brief on the project itself, and we can see a fresh example of how that would look like. And the whole idea is that in order for us to create something of quality, it's not enough to just jump into the design. We need to make sure that we understand the business, we understand the audience, we understand the vibe that we're trying to manufacture or create as people are visiting the website. And so I came into Atarim and I ran a discovery. And as I just dropped in the URL, it did a full-on discovery as to the current brand, what we had, some competitors or inspiration that we should look into, the overview, the primary goal, and everything in between, really what we used to do with a client. And that was a lot of nonsense that sits around the work just to get this bit of information and that now can be done with a click of a button. And so it didn't stop here. This was the baseline, and then we revisited every line here and updated the text just by clicking through and making sure we have that. That was brought into Claude Design through the Atarim MCP to create this first initial resource. And once I had it presented visually, I could iterate on it and add all kinds of small touches, like working through the icons and making sure that they have really nice fidelity. I even added this texture that sits on top of the dark areas here. It's like a bit of a noise instead of it just being like clear gradients. Again, it was all to try and ground it and make it feel a little bit more heavy than just like cheap gradients that an AI can produce on its own. But also I tried to bring in the texture of these mascots, our inner circle. You can see that they have this little grunge type of thing on them. And that was by design so that they feel like experts. And when I did them, I tried to create texture on their faces. So like they have a bit of scars there. They're not just like noobs coming into the space, you know? So translating that across the entire thing was my idea. And of course, we changed the fonts. We kept the highlight colors and these ones. In fact, most of the colors remained pretty much the same, but now they were giving a different depth, different characteristics, and most importantly, different canvas, different color that sits on the background to make the whole thing feel a little bit more attainable and not expensive for all of our audience, the 95% of the freelancers and agency space, all of us that are grinding every day. And so this is really the point that we try to capture with everything around the brand. Now, from the brand, I moved on to work on the site map. This is the same steps that we've done for years, building websites back in the agency when I was freelancer, and even now inside Atarim. Every step builds on top of the other and allows you to go through this journey of discovery. The whole point or the whole value is that now it all collapsed and I can now just direct it. And literally everything that you see now, we are still in day one. And the power of creating the sitemap is it allowed us to explore how are we focusing? What are the messages that we're trying to convey? I spoke before about this trust. And so I brought this in here. And you can see there's new pages that are introduced, and we actually cleared out a lot of the SaaS style, like multiple feature pages and all of those kind of stuff from the website that were not getting any substantial traffic anyway, but kept getting stale every time as we kept building the product. So now it was an opportunity to kind of minify the whole thing. We still ended up with more than 70 pages here, but at the core, it allowed it to focus in. Now, this also acted as a guide for the build as I was churning out more pages, because now I had these categories of pages that I could create repeatable style pages. So instead of designing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 product-related pages, we have product pages. And instead of designing audience pages, each one at a time and completely different and get the user out of flow if they're navigating between them, now all of these pages match the same format, the same style. At the same time, we kept some pages that should be unique. The About Us page, for example, or the Trust page, which we made it like a featured page. Let me show you how that looks. So on the Trust page, everything goes to white instead of it being like with this purple thing. Again, nice and clean, transparent. And that's exactly what we're trying to communicate. And so visually, I thought it would be really nice to bring that in. Now, you would notice that we're not trying to take the easy route here. We're doing things properly. It's not about finding a template somewhere and just dropping it in and hoping for the best. It's about understanding who we're serving so that the whole website is cohesive and could actually convert. And then once I had all of this beginning, we had the discovery, then the brand kit, then the sitemap. Only then, I went on and asked this request. Now, with everything you know about this project, and based on the brand kit and the reposition brief, which was how I call the discovery that started with us today and then revised into who we want to become, only then create the full homepage for Atarim. Full stop. And of course, the version 1 of the homepage wasn't great. And so I continued to iterate on the homepage directly into here. And as you can see, even from the title here, this was not version 1. This is version 3 of working through this. Through that, I realized that it would be awesome to have this minimal mockups that we've done before, but every time we wanted to do one, it took a couple of weeks to actually produce these assets. And it also cost a couple of grand. And so as a side quest, I went on and created like a little tool that allows me to drop in a screenshot and then produce these beautiful type of minimal mockups that I seeded throughout the entire experience. Cool. So we have a homepage, but it's just here inside Claude Design. What do I do? And then to wrap up day 1, I asked Claude Design to give me a zip export of everything that we worked on. And then I moved on to Claude Code. Within Claude Code, with the Atarim MCP connected, that came the decision of how am I going to approach this? I didn't want to make that decision first. I also saw that we have all of these beautiful kind of interactive moments inside this page that I believe would be pretty hard to bring in and port into one of the page builders and maintain the same fidelity and the same attention to detail here. And so the first thing that I did is I just asked it to deploy it as an HTML page into WordPress, just so I can see it in the browser with the WordPress bar that did nothing, just so I could experience it. And that's exactly what it did. And that gave me an opportunity to actually go in and add comments on the things that didn't work pretty well as I migrated this directly into WordPress. And you can see some examples. This is the original shot, so that you can see that the text is centered, that the border radius didn't apply the squircle, or who is that called? I forgot the name of it. The kind of semicircle that we're using here. And so I gave it some instructions. I left all of these comments throughout the entire page without actually taking any action of them, just leaving comments, just my thoughts as I was looking at this from a desktop, tablet, and mobile. And after this internal feedback round, I went back to Claude Code and I told it, look at the tasks I left on this website through Atarim and just do them all. That was a long day one, but I went to sleep knowing that it's still working in the background, that I will have something to look at when I wake up in the morning. Day two. Just before I went to sleep, I was sitting with my iPad, so I left a few more comments, just when the machine is on you, I could scroll, and it was already in the browser, it was already in WordPress, so it felt very real already after day one to kind of try and interact with it, even though it was just a single page at that point. So day two started with going back to Claude Code and telling it, check out the rest of the comments that I already left in Atarim and get them all done. And from this point on, I'm in Claude Code almost until the end. And so since it's way less visual, I want to keep showing you how I approached it. And so now I had the homepage and I brought in the context from the project on the design side into Claude Code. I had the Atarim MCP connected so it can communicate directly with the website as well. And then I proceeded to build one of each one of the category pages. I asked it to create one draft for each one of them. And then I went through, left comments to try and see where I can drive this further and bring my own personality, my own understanding of the business into each one of those core pages. And what I mean by this is that I didn't go and create all of the product pages. I created the first one. And then I created only the first one of the who is this for. I created only one of the company pages. And then I created one help doc, one blog post, and one legal page so that I have all of the templates already designed. Now, these were all done with HTML. And so this came now the point that I had to make a decision. I couldn't just continue just like building HTML pages without understanding how the website is going to be structured once it's inside WordPress. So there's many ways to go about this. I could have picked a page builder or Elementor as our current website or our previous website was built on, or maybe it was time to move to Gutenberg or Bricks or maybe Stay, or maybe a theme. And that's actually what I opted for because I had this realization that after doing all of this, I don't want to drag and drop anymore. I just want to say what needs to happen and have it be done. And so if I have the interface to kind of click around and leave comments and then tell the AI, go and do all of these things based on my own directions, I know what good looks like. So my directions are pretty specific, which meant that for the first time in a decade since I started building in page builders, I felt complete freedom in what I could do on the canvas itself. Even when we went from Figma into the page builder, those things didn't stick. And the problem was, and the reason why we stayed with page builders and didn't go down the route of building a theme to begin with, is because it was extremely hard to edit this. And so now if I can just like make a comment and have it be done, I wanted to explore this new reality, which is kind of like a regression, but with a new breath of fresh air to it. I think that was the intent of WordPress to begin with, to work in this format, but then we got distracted as an ecosystem by the ability of drag and dropping, which was extremely powerful and still is for some websites, especially as we're handing this off to clients or stuff like that. There's still value in it. But internally inside Atarim, I thought it would be a really cool way of going back to this custom theme concept and creating our own that will be probably a lot more performant. And we will see that here in a second. I spent a good chunk of time working on the pricing page, then reviewing all the copy, not leaving it just for this. I don't want it to lie to users or just make many mistakes. So very much like a team member, I went in and left a couple hundreds of comments throughout this entire website to make sure that everything is aligned with what we need to communicate. So that was day 2. By the end of day 2, I had all of the pages created, but none of the content kind of settled, and it wasn't ready to go live yet. There will still need to be some revisions, some optimization to be done, and I left that for day 3. Day 3, let's hook it all up. So as part of the cleanup that we did, something interesting that happened is that we went from around literally 80 some plugins that were accumulated on the website over the years to 3 plugins. Atarim at the core that controls the website, Yoast for SEO, and Gravity Form for intake forms and surveys. I knew that we will need to install a few more, and in fact, we ended up with 16 at the end, but we literally removed about 80% of the plugins that we had on this website, which definitely affected the performance for the better as well. And so the way that I did this is just through a single chat inside Atarim here, asking it to install the plugins and activate the plugins and so on. We can see some traces of that because every piece of work has a task associated with it so that we never lose track of what was happening. As we talk to the chat, to Claro, it creates tasks for us within the project. So again, at the end of the month, on the 30th day, we can share a beautiful report that kind of matches everything that the team has done. And so you can see my installation process here. Let's put in tag manager. Let's add code snippet. We have some of these snippets that we need to bring in. The TikTok pixel snippet after we installed the plugin itself. And so again, I was directing it to do the work that needed to be done. At the same time, while Claro was thinking here, I was working with Claude Code to ask it to create the custom post types that match the content that we currently have on our website. Throughout this process, the first time that I needed to log into WordPress was to install our plugin so that I have the MCP connected. And then I almost had the website complete until that point that I needed to import posts from the old website, blog posts and our help docs and all of those kind of stuff. That I did do manually, go to the old website, export through the XML and upload directly to WordPress through the import feature. And by doing that, I allowed the AI to see what are the custom fields that we need to create in our new website that again was a complete fresh install when we first started there. The Atarim connector to WordPress allowed me to just direct Claude and have it be done on the website with very little friction. Mostly it was asking me for approvals for things that are too risky or maybe I should consider. It was a really nice iterative process that was very quick and happened in the background as I was actually doing my day, answering emails and working with the other team members and all of those kind of normal day-to-day stuff. Now, towards the end of the day, I had a website and the website was connected to all of our blog posts. We have the archive pages all set up, the single posts all beautifully mapped out, and that freedom of creation was apparent with everything that I did here. I didn't plan on redoing the help center. I thought that maybe I'll just do the core landing pages, but it was so much fun to just create that I just continued to redesign the whole lot from scratch. And again, it just looked and felt so much better, so much more premium than when I was drag and dropping templates. Now, having all the pages doesn't mean the website is ready. Then came the optimization. So let's look at the PageSpeed insights here. This is the old website, and as you can see, it's maybe a little bit even embarrassing that this is where it sits, but this is an actual functioning website with tens of thousands of visitors every month that are clicking around. We need to have HubSpot connected, all kinds of different scripts to make sure that there's business activity on the back of this website. It's not just an artifact, it's something that does work. And so every time that you install something, it kind of chips away at all of the stats here. And the new website looks like this. There's still a bit more to be done, as you can see on the best practices in the agentic browsing. It might never go to 100 because, again, we have some scripts that we need to run and actual functionality that is important and gets prioritized over just like having a perfect score. But this was beautiful to see, just the lift on the back of this work. And the website functions exactly as it did before, only that it looks amazing, it's super fast. And even the agentic browsing, which we had 0 before, we're almost there at making sure we were agent ready. And how does that happen? This happens on the back of this project, specification.website, created by Yost, the guy, not the company, who sits with me on the Atarim board. He created and open sourced this amazing resource that gives AI checklist of all of the things that it should be looking at when it comes to these categories, the foundations, the SEO, accessibility, security, and so on. In fact, I was so impressed by this that we baked it into the Atarim AI as well, so our AI is always aware of that. But if you want to use this directly, you're more than welcome to. It's open source, and you can connect it here as well. And so the directive was, go through the specification checklist and make sure that you complete as many of these checklist items on our new website. This part took a while. It wasn't something that I need to sit and look at it, coming in and throwing a direction to the AI and sometimes three at the same time to continue and drive this thing forward. The thing that took the most effort from me was the initial bit, the strategy, the understanding of what we're trying to accomplish here. The brand kit is the thing that I spent the most time on, even before building, and then the homepage as the second bit. From that point on, it was like a domino that once we had all of these components, all of these assets already in place, everything else fell into place. And so we went from this version of the website, and you see all of these animations. We paid thousands and thousands of pounds to make these animations, and it took a bunch of time, multiple people, multiple weeks to just create the one asset that you saw there above. And you can probably see that the new one just feels cleaner, feels better. Look at this with these intro effects, beautiful animations, beautiful typography that sits well. I had to tell it a bunch of times, there's an orphan here, there's an orphan there. A lot of my comments were about just making sure that everything feels premium.